So you was talking about some of the accessories that can come with these high lift jacks. Could you give us a demonstration on how some of these may work?
Yep, sure. So we'll use the first responder jack as an example. We spoke earlier on about the versatility of the base on the first responder jack. This is one of the accessory kits, which is the off-road kit. The base is designed so that you can slot the chain into the base, which means if you're doing any sort of a pulling, lifting job where the base of the jack is actually off a surface, you can actually secure it with the chain, and it gives you the ability then to continue the process of jacking or lifting to free an individual or an animal or whatever it is you're trying to release. So the base of the jack can be rotated by removing the fixing pin. Very, very simply, you can turn it 90 degrees. So whatever the base is interfering with, or however the base needs to be used, you can rotate it and fix it in position so that it's entirely safe. So the off-road kit consists of these two brackets, which can be used on the toe of the jack, or they can be attached with a shackle to the top of the jack. And then you have two chains, which can be used the way that I described earlier on. And then you also have two hooks, which have got clevis pin fittings and a shackle. So the combination of these items gives you the ability to adapt the jack for pulling as well as for lifting. The kit also includes a carry bag, and gloves for handling these objects.
Could you tell us a bit about the off-road base?
Yep, certainly. So the off-road base is a solution to a very commonly found problem, and that is that most people who are in a position where they need to lift their vehicle to chock up the tyres, to put sort of material under the tyres to regain traction, usually they've lost traction because they're on soft ground. If you try to jack any vehicle up on soft ground, you'll find the jack sinking as much as, if not more, than the vehicle is lifting. So the off-road base is designed to spread the load of the jack. There are a few other little features here. So sometimes the ground isn't perfectly level. It might be stony, it might be a little bit bumpy. So there's a serrated edge along the off-road base, and that allows you to drag it along the ground to actually make a more or less smooth surface for the off-road base to go on. Once the off-road base is in place, the footprint is designed to carry the jack. And as soon as you start lifting, the weight that's now being applied to the base is being applied to an area that's roughly 3 times the original size. And with that level of ratio between the bottom of the jack and the actual surface area, you've spread the load considerably.
So next up we have the lift mate. If you could tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the lift mate has a very specific purpose. For those people who have jacked up a vehicle, even if it's purely to change a tyre, you'll realise that as you jack the vehicle up, the wheel takes some time before it lifts from the ground because the suspension is actually expanding. So all of the compression that's in the shock absorber and spring is now being allowed to relax. The lift mate attaches to the wheel, and the top of the lift mate goes to the toe of the jack. So this means that if you're lifting the vehicle up to be able to put material underneath a wheel that's spinning, you're not having to wait for the suspension to drop before you actually get the wheel lifting. And you might not be able to lift the wheel as high as you'd like because you've actually used the maximum amount of lift, and half of that's been used up by the drop of the suspension. So this allows you to jack the wheel rather than the vehicle, and that keeps the suspension compressed. You've got better access to put stuff underneath, material underneath the tyre. You can then lower the jack, remove the lift mate, and you're now clear to go.
Next up, we have the bumper lift.
Yes, so we're staying on a theme here. And the theme is, how do you lift a vehicle other than by having the jack going underneath the vehicle in the conventional way? And although this doesn't serve the same purpose as the lift mate, where you're keeping the suspension compressed, this actually gives you another angle of attack. And this is actually designed to hook underneath the front of a steel bumper, the sort of bumper that you'd have either on an aftermarket fitment to a pickup truck or on a Land Rover, a Grenadier, something like that. And this allows you to hook the toe of the jack into the top and then the bottom onto the steel bumper, and it allows you to lift the vehicle from the bumper. So this is not applicable for modern pickup trucks that haven't had a steel bumper adaptation. So it won't work with a plastic bumper, but it will work with a steel bumper such as those designed to have winches fitted to them.
Now we have the tube mount and the jack mounting system.
Yes, so we've spent quite a lot of time talking about the jack itself and what the jack does and how it works and the way that it can be adapted for various different types of use. One of the things that always crops up is how do you safely store the jack in a vehicle? Anybody associated with safe practice, driving, four-wheel driving and so on will always tell you that you should never have free, loose objects in a vehicle. You should never have that anyway. If you have something like a high lift jack in a Land Rover and you're off-roading, it's really a bit of an accident waiting to happen, because if this, in the case of a rollover, were to hit you, you'd be fairly severely injured. So high lift has a range of different mounting systems. The most popular one probably is the 4X rack. And what this item does is allows you to fix the two fixings here, and you put them a distance apart from each other, and then the actual fixings for the jack go through the holes on the bar of the jack, and then you can actually fix the jack securely in position. And that will keep it fast either in the interior, so it can be in the bed of a pickup truck, or it can be on the side of a roof rack, etc., etc. So it's a very adaptable kit, and it is a popular kit. The second one is the tube mount, and there are two different sizes of tube mount, and these are designed to allow you to fix the high lift jack to any sort of tubular fitting that might be in use on your vehicle. So you may have a bull bar, you may have a tubular side bar to the roof rack or a roll cage, and these can be clamped to the roll cage at suitable spacing. And once again, they have fittings then that you pass the jack through, and then you screw the caps on, and that keeps the jack secure.
Finally, we have the jack protector and the handle keeper.
Yeah, so these are the last two things we're going to talk about today. The handle keeper we'll talk about first. This is actually a very simple device, but it's actually one that gives you a little bit of peace of mind. So if you can imagine that the high lift jack is on the side of your vehicle or it's in the load bed and you're going through a fairly harsh environment, the handle keeper puts a little bit of distance between the handle of the jack and the bar of the jack, and it stops the two vibrating together. It's very, very simple, but it's very effective, and it's a popular accessory. And I would say pretty much every jack that we sell, one of these goes with it. The jack protector, slightly different kettle of fish. This is actually pretty much what it says it is, and it's a polyurethane bag that the jack will fit into before you put it into storage. And the idea is, if you're operating in a pickup truck, the pickup truck back is not covered, as an example. It just keeps the weather and the grime and dirt, salt and everything else off the jack itself. There are two versions of this. This is actually the full length one. There is a smaller one, which actually just purely fits around the actual climbing mechanism of the jack.
Thank you very much, Simon.
It was a pleasure, Travis.
If you want to see more from Arbil 4x4, make sure you subscribe and give us a like. And if you're interested in any of these high lift jacks, make sure you get in contact with us from a link in the description. Thank you very much for watching.